My little buddy just came home. Or went home. It's so quiet now. I'm gonna miss her. But I would be lying if I told you that I'm not relishing this. Oh, this is so lovely. Listen. On to the topic, I guess. I'm gonna try. I watched 2 movies because the movies that were on the it used to be the community tab. Now it's just called post, I guess. The movies that were there were 2 that were even. And because of the tie, I decided to watch both sets. And this one, both movies are pretty similar as far as... No, I won't even say that, actually. Now that I started saying that, I'm thinking that is not true. I was going to say both have a similar feel, but that is absolutely not true. I don't even want to say that they're the same quality. They just kind of hit to the same degree. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but at no time when I was watching these movies was I actually spooked. Did I feel like I was part of everything? It felt very much like I was a spectator going through the things. And that's fine for a movie. Just if you're wanting something that's more horrific, you're not necessarily going to want that experience. But these ones were very similar in that way, but very different films. And I'm going to talk to you about those right now. The first one is... Which one should I talk about first? Let's talk about The Church by Dario Argento. Now, Dario Argento, I like some of his works. Not all of them. He's kind of a hit or miss for me. But what I appreciate of all of his works is how encapsulating they are. And this is no different. This movie is no different. From the score and from going through the church and all the goings on, it's very detailed. It's very moody. But the other thing about Dario Argento films that I've seen is it doesn't feel like you are taking part in any of his movies. You're watching his movies. So to me, that is where a lot of scares are missed because of that fact. But I enjoy the quality of his films usually. I don't necessarily enjoy all the plot points, but the thought that goes into the films, I definitely enjoy. So this film, let me see if I can succinctly put it for you. This film starts in the past as a massacre takes place in this town. And there is a pit that is a mass grave. People are thrown into this pit to be buried, and a church is built on top of this pit. Now, there are some discussions early on in the film, so this isn't a spoiler, that there were witches in the town. And you knew them by certain qualities. And one person indeed had these qualities. And so I guess from that, they concluded that the entire town was also of the ilk of this one person. I don't know. But anyway, that's what happened. A church was built above this mass grave. And we are transported to who knows how many years later. And spooky things happen at this church. Chaos ensues. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that wants to see it. It was a fine movie. If I look, okay, so it's 1989 that it was made. For 1989, it probably looked really good. And it still, for the most part, looks good. There are some spooky things that happen, and there are some spooky sights and whatever. But there are other things that kind of look a little cut and paste to me, but I appreciate the artfulness that went towards the things that didn't look all that great. If that makes sense. Like, you could tell that time and effort went into the things, even though the things didn't turn out real. It's not like they threw a bunch of things together. Even though I called it cut and paste, you know, that's me looking at it now, but I'm not sure how I would have felt about it then. The acting, the score is great. The actual visuals and mood is great. The acting, The characters, I don't think there's anybody that you'd feel for. But one thing that this movie does, I think, well, is mood. So because of that, and because of the score, I think you could actually have it as a background. Not that people would actually watch it, but if you wanted a background that score matches kind of the spooky season, it would work for that. I will not watch this again. I'm glad that I did watch it so that I can say more definitively about Dario Argento, how I feel about his films. But I don't think that I'd see it again. If somebody else wanted to see it, I wouldn't say no. I don't think I would say no anyway. So let's move on to the second movie, which was Tokyo Gore Police. I'm gonna change, I have IMDb up. So it says this was, okay, where'd it go? Oh, it says here it was a 2008 film. So we're looking at a good few years difference. I don't know what to say about this film. This film, it's kind of nuts. It's futuristic, and it has some things that made me be reminded of a different movie, Starship Troopers, if you've ever seen that. It's a little bit like that. It's set in the future, and you get the sense that the police are the bad guys. The police are corrupted, and you get this sense early on in the film, so I'm not ruining anything. And apparently, there are people in society when they get injured, their injuries kind of mutate? I don't know the word for it. They kind of do things that are weird. For instance, you might have your hand cut off, and all of a sudden, your hand will morph into a chainsaw. Or what used to be your hand on your stump turns into a chainsaw. And that might happen. And supposedly, all these people that have this ability, that do this, have this kind of flesh-looking key in their body. I think they said it was in their throat, but I'm not quite certain of that, so don't quote me on that. So the movie is about these cops trying to exterminate these people that have this ability, and chaos ensues. If you watched Audition, the main character looks like the lady from Audition. Let's just see if it's the same lady. I think it is. It is. So the main character played an Audition, and I have only seen her in that. Of course, I'm not fluent in Japanese cinema, but I really enjoyed the creepiness of that movie. This is a very different movie. This is kind of just, you're watching it and I have to give it to them. It's very imaginative. It's great. You don't necessarily, or at least I didn't necessarily know what type of mutation was going to happen and to who it was going to happen with. And I enjoyed that. Unlike The Church, I would see this movie again. I think it was fun. I can also see it kind of in the background, as both of these movies didn't have a huge amount of dialogue. And the dialogue that it did have, I can't say you'd really care. They're both kind of movies where it's just kind of like, okay, so we're doing this now. This is how it looks. It's not necessarily going to explain things. You're not going to necessarily feel lost. At least I didn't feel lost, and I have a brain that likes to just go everywhere. How would these two movies compare? Okay, so if I'm looking at the score of Dario Argento is just way better. It's just light years ahead of Tokyo Gore Police. But acting was pretty bad in both. So I would say that they're about the same. Tokyo Gore Police I can see as a party movie. I can see people getting together to have a laugh at this movie. I can see that. I can see both being background movies, because you don't really have to pay attention to get something out of these movies. For Dario Argento, it would be in the background just to help with ambiance. With Tokyo Gore Police, it would be on at a party and people can just kind of casually watch it. I don't think either you have to really actively watch, but Dario Argento's movie doesn't really give you a heck of a lot more. It's not fun. Whereas Tokyo Gore Police was fun. I won't say that it was a super good movie. It's not. I want to say between the two, what is more imaginative? I'm pretty sure Tokyo Gore Police takes it that way. as well. I mean, I've seen the themes of the church used before. That's not new. The Tokyo Gore Police, though, that's kind of novel. I don't think I've seen things quite this way. So I definitely enjoyed that. So out of the two, I would say that Tokyo Gore Police won in terms of, yeah, just the fact that I can rewatch it, the fact that I think that it would be a good background for a party and people could actually watch it at a party and get something out of it, get some hoots and hollers. I think both have horrible acting. I would not suggest either for acting. However, I would say that both would be able to be watched by... Now, both have sexual content in them, but not in the sense of what you're thinking. And so the audience would be a little bit more mature, but I don't think that you need to be that mature to watch them. I don't. You do you. You parent and figure this stuff out for your children. I think I'm just gonna quit while I'm ahead on that one. And yeah, I think that Tokyo Gore Police wins for that. So I'm gonna put up another poll and see what you think of this, and have a bunch more movies to mash up that we can talk about. I just like watching things and commenting on those things. So that'll be it for me today. But I hope that whatever you're doing, in whatever situation you find yourself in today, that you're having the best time. And I will talk to you later.